Hello, everybody, and welcome to Adrift in Aldhalor, our weekly actual play show set in our homebrew world of Aradun, specifically on Aldhalor. Our music is licensed through Musicbed.com, and our ambience is usually Syrinscape, sometimes TabletopAudio. I'm going to bring Shannon on here to talk about our partners.
Hi. Hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Welcome to Paradise. I'm going to talk about our partners. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to start with Arcane Spectacles. They are your source for personalized D&D themed Christmas ornaments like these, as well as top-notch. They're not staying straight. There we go. As top-notch. I lost my place. There it is. Top-notch tabletop RPG accessories with the ability to personalize their ornaments, like so. With your D&D's party names, like... Nope, this one. This is our first party. And then these are some of my gals. I need an updated one because I need to add Saskia to it. You'll have a unique and memorable keepsake. They also offer dice, mugs, wood spell trackers, wood dice vaults, and more. Visit them at arcadespectacles.com. Next, we have the Underground Oracle Publishing. They are a best-selling, ENnie-nominated TTRPG publisher building new and exciting settings for the cipher system of every genre you can imagine. Each setting includes everything you need to explore its unique world, including lore, species, descriptors, foci, creatures, ciphers, artifacts, and all of the rules that you need to play. Their current focus and recent Kickstarter success is Harrow the Blighted Plain, a crystal punk fantasy setting filled with fungal oases, massive sand seas, and long-buried magitech. For as little as $3, you can join their Patreon and help shape Harrow in each of the worlds that they create. Next, we have Edward Yorke. He is our character artist. Eddie is an illustrator based in the UK who makes art for games and books. To visit his portfolio and to get in contact with him, visit eyorke.com. Last but certainly not least, we have 1985 Games. They create affordable, accessible, high-quality accessories for D&D and other tabletop role-playing games. Sean here uses their NPC cards to make awesome NPCs for our games. So if you'd like to purchase those cards or any of their awesome other products, use the code PARADISEPROD for 10% off your entire order. And just a few miscellaneous things here. If you're not already with us on Discord, be sure to join us there because we have announcements there. We have some stories. Yeah, that's the right word. Story discussion happening. Sean also writes one-page recaps of every session that go up before we go live on Mondays. So make sure to join us there if you haven't already. If you would like to sponsor an episode or two of Adrift in Aldhalor, you can shoot us an email at paradiserpg@gmail.com. Mike, mute yourself. Or you can join us on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Discord, Instagram, or TikTok. And that is all that I have.
Good job, Shannon.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, let me bring everybody in. Oh, thank you.
Preemptive good job. You did a great intro as well. And
Thank
you're gonna rock this. You're gonna rock this recap, and you're gonna rock this session as a DM. All right. All right. Well,
that's too much pressure.
I'm sorry.
All right. Well, we got the full crew here now. Let's do a recap.
What's up, guys?
Let's do a recap. All right. Where did I actually put the recap? There it is. Last we met, we learned that what took place in the time-stop study with Septimus that triggered a chaotic surge of magic throughout the endless library of the Hyven Academy. Something about the chronomantic chamber made his mechanical arm react erratically as its metal grew hot and grease bled from its joints. He struggled to maintain concentration over the mechanical arm. Septimus stumbled through this disorientation towards the emergency cord to end the time-stop spell, enchanting this chamber. An unbearable gravity pulled at him, but he was able to pull the emergency cord as ink-like elementals attacked him. He awoke later in the librarian Sigel's office with his friends. They pondered the cause of such disruption in the magic latent in the halls of the library. Sigel promised he would not incriminate the party to the Academy's ethics board regarding the mishap. Once Septimus was well enough, the party finalized their agreement with Sigel, planned to leave a day later with a cart provided by the Academy. For the rest of their day, they planned to visit the Hyven Times to learn more about the murders that happened in the Temple Court. The Times being a place open to the public, the party simply walked in and searched for Kellen, the pale green dragonborn reporter that Orin spoke about. They found him watching a colleague mess with a new printing press that they had ordered. He agreed to speak with them about any leads that they might have. Jacquet led the conversation, hoping to draw out as much information as possible before giving anything away themselves. The journalist disclosed that both victims weren't actually killed with a bludgeoning weapon, as the story in the streets was. One had their throat slit. He said most of his leads had dried up at this point, but the most important one seemed to be a bit closed off. In so many words, Jacquet offered to question this lead further to try and discern more information. The journalist seemed amenable to this partnership if it led to more information. In the course of this conversation, Jacquet also disclosed that someone had killed Captain Hastings, someone named LaRue. This drew Kellen's attention, though he seemed to try to hide it at first. He told them he spent time in the widow's ward following leads and had heard about a cheater and bad gambler new in town called LaRue that might need more attention from the Hyven Times. But with this, the party left, with Kellen stopping Septimus short, knowing him to be the local in the party, to give him a brief warning that his friend was talking a little too loudly in a town like Hyven. The party agreed after this to prioritize Sigel's quest for now, but to follow up on this lead when they return. Saskia insisted on finishing one more thing before the party prepared to leave in the morning. She wanted to settle her debt with the Otter business, now that she had seen it wasn't necessarily a life and death situation, but more a matter of reputation. She headed off with Fionn to the dive bar, and upon arriving agreed to what they called the Walk of Shame. They gathered as many folk from the ward as they could to sell garbage, rotting fruit, and other nastiness to huck at Sass, as she tried to catch a pig running amok in the bar. Jacquet and Fionn amped the crowd up to raise more silver to pay off her debts, Jacquet even going so far as to utilize magic to increase the showmanship of this Walk of Shame by assisting the pig, and not his friend. And with that showmanship, Sass was able to finish the trial and settle her debt. So, one moment. The cheers in the audience died down as just as swiftly as this crowd grew eager to huck trash and other things from buckets at this cheater and debtor, they now have returned to their drinks, their energy sifting away from Sass and more towards the rest of their evening. Sass, you are covered head to toe in trash.
Yep.
And the rest of you all see this, but your debt is settled, and a lot of you are free from any connections, as far as you can tell, to the Otter business. You can enjoy another drink here if you'd like, but it is quite later at this point, or it's beginning to get later, so you can head back to get some rest before heading out in the morning if you'd like. And we can hit the road. Is there any...
One more drink. Just one.
Absolutely, absolutely. You will have to pay for this one because the ones before this
Oh,
were
come
sympathy
on.
ales. And now that you have squared your debts and are no longer performing, you will owe a silver for this
Covered
ale.
in trash, though. Take pity.
Yeah,
Show
well,
pity.
we need coin to buy things to serve to then become trash to keep throwing at people.
What's the cheapest thing you've got? Just give it just a swig. It doesn't even have to be a full
No,
glass.
what you're referring to there, ma'am, is a shot.
Maybe you should ask Septimus to buy you a drink. He bought a bucket.
No, I can buy my own drink.
Here you go. 2 copper.
Slam it down on the table with a nice handful of with a rotten tomato. Squish it onto the table.
Yeah, the bartender hands you the clearest whiskey you've ever seen. Like, this must have been aged half a year maybe in a barrel. It's completely unaged. It's just probably from a bad bottle that they ordered. And
Great.
when you
It's
take it,
disgusting, right?
it's horrible. If anyone
Yeah.
here has ever had unaged whiskey, it's truly terrible. It has zero flavor.
that I
It has
have.
a disgusting nuttiness to it that is just absolutely gross. They made me drink it in a bourbon class once to know to like realize how much the wood actually imparts flavor.
All right, so I'll knock it back and thank you very much. Have a lovely evening. And I just leave a trail of trash on my way out of the
Yes, and as you do that, the rest of you can also head out in your individual little packs of crew to avoid being together and either rejoin all together at the Cask and Crow.
bar. I can't go
which
back there.
Sass,
I'm going
you
to the
can
hostel.
go and find the hostel, and
Yes.
for, I'll say, if you want 5 copper, you can get a really, you could just basically a tin basin of seawater to wash yourself off with.
Great. Excellent. Yep. I could also actually, no, I'm going to save that. I'm going to put that back in my inventory. I'm just going to go take a dip in the ocean, and
There you
then
go.
I'm going to go back.
There you go. All right, so then it's going to just be that 1 copper for staying the night there. The rest of you can head to the Cask and Crow. To go back to your
Sean,
rooms. Yes.
On the way back, I just want to check on that note that I left behind.
I'll be quick about it because it's going to be pretty much the
Yep.
same. But
If it is still there, I'm just
Yeah.
gonna take it. Like,
Okay.
I've given up.
okay. Yeah, so that definitely, like, no, when you head there, it's the same exact thing. The note is still in the same spot. There doesn't look like anyone's moved it. So you can take that now if you wish.
Mhm.
And the rest of you can head through the slightly chilly night back to your places to rest for the evening. Septimus. Believe there's an errand you would like to attend.
Quickly, yes. In the night, we'll go back to the Castle Crow with the rest of the party, sans Sass. And once kind of feel comfortable enough that Bruce is asleep, Septimus will go out in the middle of the night, leave the Castle Crow, and try to find... what was the name of the place to go to again? I know I wrote it down. I freaking can't find it.
1 moment. I hope I wrote it down. Probably in my notes over here. Let's see.
Garcall's place?
Nope. Somewhere else. Which if I don't have it written down, then we are just going to have to come up with a new name real quick. John, quite. All right, so
Where I'm trying to go is
I know where
the
you're trying to go.
place. No, I know where you're trying to go, but for the audience,
Yes.
it's the contact that Septimus has for Machinus Whispers that he got from Torcal.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, 1 second. I just need to turn battle cam onto streamer mode. Oh wow. No. Sorry, got distracted. So you head towards the tavern that you got a contact for, which is known as the Square Horse Bar. It is fairly close to the actual... it's not in the typical area where the taverns are. Most of the taverns are on Main Street or one of the streets off of it or are within the high road. This one is actually closer to the old Brigade Gate, right on the edge of town. Basically amongst some of the more tightly packed tenement houses on the edge of that district, amongst also not too far from the actual flea market that Torcal has his booth at.
Yes.
And you would find sort of just some low lights coming through stained windows that are have kind of a cross-hatched design. I just hit myself with a pen. Cross-hatched design on the windows that are kind of like almost like stained from the smoke of lanterns and candles. And there is just a sign out that has a simple horse image on there that is faded. No name on the tavern. It's not particularly like hidden. It's just sort of a hole in the wall. And when you approach it, you can see that it's actually built atop a old blacksmithing shop that is out of business. It looks like the windows are boarded up. So basically, you come up to it and you have these steps that lead up to the entrance to the old blacksmith shop, boarded up, and then next to those steps, it descend down into the basement area, where you can see those that window on the door that is kind of stained, and the windows above stained by smoke, and just a small lantern next to the door that descends down these stone steps. Very like basement bar vibes in a city.
Yeah. Septimus walked to the top of those stairs and kind of just like paused for a moment and just kind of to himself, just thinking like under his breath, like, I really hoping I find answers with everything that's going on. And then kind of lets off like a little prayer, kind of like, whoever's out there, please guide me on my journey. As I'll descend down the stairs and walk in.
Yep. And as you walk in, there would almost be you'd be hit by a wall of acrid smoke as you step in. And you would hear the low whispers of the folks at the bar in there. The space is dark and low lit, as many eyes would turn to you, including taller gentleman that fits the description of your contact, wearing a green vest, a green long vest with a belt over it that hangs over shaggy pants with furred boots. No shirt underneath the vest. It's just a closed vest that looks like it's sort of more like a padded sleeveless gambeson is really what it looks like, with a fur cloak on his back, a long dirty blonde and mingled with some white hair beard with hair swept back. For the contact that you are expecting, this man doesn't look like someone who knows anything about the machine.
It's just a front, of course, but there is probably some doubt when first seeing that, but kind of just thinking and reassuring himself, and kind of a little bit out of desperation, but also just remembering, trusting Torcal and thinking that he wouldn't leave him astray, maybe naively, but continuing forward and approaching the man.
As you approach the man, each step may be feeling heavier than the last as you're thinking all of the things you just said. He goes to drink from the cup he has. As he goes, he makes eye contact with you at that point and pauses to look at you, half smiling at a joke their patron made. But he looks at you. He knows you're walking towards him. What do you do?
Was I given his name?
You were.
Or no? I was.
His name is Hjalmar.
Hjalmar.
Hjalmar, yeah.
I would say, good evening. My name is Septimus. I don't believe we have met, but might I talk to you for a minute?
And you see he smirks as you say this and finishes the drink, or takes the draught from his drink and looks at you. And Septimus, you're a fairly tall man, but he's much taller than you. And he just looks down and just says, "Do you make a habit of walking up to strangers in private clubs, wishing to speak with
them?" Say I don't, but I think you're the exact person I'm looking for in this situation.
He stands up straight and kind of strongmans you a little bit as he comes up, kind of looks down at you, close to you, and goes, "You reek of the fields."
That's where I live and where I was raised. But with quite a bit of convincing, and with speaking with Torcal, I've given up the old ways. As I'll just say, screw it, I'll reveal the arm. And I'll use it to pull back my hood so you can see more of my face.
And you see he as you were saying Torcal, you said Torcal, you see this man did bring his kind of big bearish hand up and was scratching at that beard, and then as you lift your hood, hand drops from his chin to see the arm. He looks over to someone else, nods to them. He holds a hand out to you to shake your hand.
And I'll reach out for his.
"You can call me Hal." And then you hear as the door locks. That's where we'll cut away from you.
Oh shit!
Okay. So the rest of you wake up the next morning. And I'll just say, Septimus, they find you there? At the typical breakfast table?
No. They wouldn't. But whoever comes down first, they get called out by, what's her name? Sorry. The barkeep, the person that runs Cask and Crow. Or not runs, but...
Anna?
Yep.
Anna.
Mm-hmm.
And relay that a message was left for you. Or just a written note.
Who would wake up first?
That'll work out. I'd be up.
That's true. I was like sitting there. I was like, you're all kind of bedheads except for Fearn. So Fearn, when you step down or walk out, because you're on the same level, your room. When you walk out to go do your typical workouts in the alleyway, you would see Kana there, cleaning up, prepping, getting the tables ready, and she wouldn't really say much. She would just be like, "Oh, hey," and just kind of like hand you the note to be like, "Your friend, the country boy. He left this for you."
Septimus.
Yeah. And she kind of like just gotta go get to work, but here you go.
I read the letter.
It would just simply say, gang, it's been a few days since I left Sal posted outside the city. Needed to tend to him and make sure he was okay. Since we're leaving today, meet me on the outskirts when you're ready to leave, and we can continue forward.
I take the letter and I fold it up, and I walk up to Septimus's room, where they are. I'm just gonna slip it under the door, so they get the message too.
Oh, where yeah. So Bruce would be in there. So yeah. So
Yeah,
Bruce,
sorry,
when you wake up,
Bruce.
you would get because Septimus probably well, Bruce, you probably would have been conked out as soon as you got back to the room.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So then I'll say, whenever you wake up, Bruce, you'll get the note and can join everyone and
All right. Yep.
get that. So I'd say, obviously, with enough time, you all wake up at your own pace. Fear, and you finish up your workout, get washed up, and join everyone else as they're meeting in that room. And Bruce, I'll say you wake up and you see that note by your door and no Septimus.
Yeah, I find it, read it. Right. Yes. Sounds good. And folds it back up, puts it in his pocket, and then goes downstairs for breakfast.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a particularly suspicious note. Septimus is from here. Makes perfect sense that he might do that. Is there anything you all want to do before just picking up the cart and heading out? Is there any last minute shopping things you want to buy? Or anything quick like that?
I think I'm all set personally.
I am too.
I think you guys
Yep.
bought
All
everything
good.
you need, but if there's anything else.
Bjorn is too poor.
Alrighty.
Oh wait, can I buy the hand and eye of Vecna? Is that kosher? Do they have that in Hyven?
It's in the museum.
There's a museum?
There's now.
No, there isn't.
Okay. I was gonna say that would be a fun place to rob.
Yep.
What?
Okay.
It's in the invisible sky temple floating above us.
Obviously.
Of course.
Okay. So, in that case, you collect your cart with the horses, and you can start making your way out of town. So, because you requested a cart with horses. Were you taking any
Yes.
other horses or just the cart?
I assume that the cart is big enough for the 5 of us plus
It
Sal.
is. It is.
Right.
Um,
So I'll say when we get it, Jacquet gives the like ticket, I guess, to whomstever to take it out, and he kind of has that person lead the cart out, and then looking at the three others that are here, he goes, "So, who wants to drive?"
I only drive. That's not my accent. I only drive ships. So, no. Sorry.
I'm not allowed to drive. I can't see that far.
Oh, Bruce.
Oh, okay, Fjern.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, cool.
Where's Septimus? He's the one who's.
He's over by Sal. So when we go pick up on the outskirts of.
I do want to ask if anyone is proficient in land vehicles.
I would say that Septimus. I'm sorry, Fjern has definitely rode a horse before. He's never driven a carriage.
Yes. So obviously, it's not like you get in it and you're like can't do anything, but it's going to take you a little while to get the hang of it. The attendant, who when you do go to the university to pick it up, they would bring you to a particular part of the college, the university. Particularly, you would see they bring you to an area that's a little bit more greenhouses and paddocks and larger stable areas where they have a lot of the animals that are part of the School of Agriculture and Working Animals. So it being somewhat early, you can see there's a lot of students tending to the animals. Simple things like brushing horses down, getting saddles ready, that sort of stuff. And probably the area that's actually the most you see the most life is actually the greenhouses, where you can see many students walking in and out, carrying trays of plant life. You can see folks transplanting things. Like this is particularly the part of the college that is most alive in the morning time versus the midday afternoon. As one of these naturalist students would bring you to the stables of the academy and already have the cart set up for you. Yes.
What kind of cart is it? Covered?
Yes, I would say it does have a cover to it. It's not just a uncovered cart.
Like
is it
an Oregon
undecorated?
Trail, like cotton or whatever. Like, what type of cover are we talking about? Like full wood carriage?
No, it's not a full wood carriage. It is more like a cotton cover than something like that. What did you ask, Stefan?
Is it decorated? Like, is there like an signia of the academy on it or something, or is it just plain cloth?
No, there would be. There is on the cotton itself of the cover is sewn into it the that same sigil you saw of not actually the sigil of like the academy. It's that same Commodore sigil, since the Commodore kind of funds everything in this area. The symbol for the school is the symbol of the Commodore. The individual colleges may have their own kind of in-house insignia, but any property of the school is really property of the Commodore. So
gotcha.
It'll hold that.
And what kind of horses did we get?
Yeah, absolutely.
You're talking about like chestnut
two
mare,
Palominos.
or
you know what? Yeah, you have a buckskin mare that looks like they are pretty big, pretty strong, suited typically for probably riding, but able to do this as well as a chestnut mare, a little bit smaller but still strong enough, not too small to make it to slow down the other mare, though they both do look a little bit older than your typical cart horse. And if you're asking, I did, before you even asked that, before we even got to that point, I did just pull up a random horse generator.
hell yeah.
Cool. That actually goes into a lot more detail on the actual description of the horse.
I'm sure.
But anyway, yes.
Okay.
I imagine Fearn would take a long time just like going over the cart with the people who work there
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just asking like too many questions, you know? Like he's like a little nervous but doesn't want to like show it. So he's just like asking like technical questions like, "Oh, what is this for? Is this to like grease the wheels, or I sit here when I drive, right? This box and
Yeah.
Talking over the attendants, Jacques already in the back with his like getting a nice comfy corner all set up. He's like, Farron, you just sit in the seat and you hacha, and they go. It's not that hard. Come on. Chop chop. We got places to go, people to see.
He's not exactly wrong, but at the same time, you got to make sure that you're considering they are working animals. Don't overwork them. Make sure you're feeding them. We do have enough supplies in there for your journey. If you need to purchase anything in addition to that, then we will reimburse you for that. But there's enough to get you to Billowgrass and get you back from Billowgrass.
You hear a crunch from inside. Oh, were these apples for the horses?
when we get there, do we leave the horse? Is it our responsibility, or do we leave the horses and carriage with someone there?
You can probably. There is a tavern that has a small stable in Billowgrass. It is just called The Home. It's in the Windy Mercato, which is the larger market house of the hamlet. It's the only real place where you're going to get any sort of service for horses. So it's a place where I would recommend leaving them while you're attending to your work. Again, we can reimburse you for the stable food costs while you are in. So long as you are doing work for the university.
Very good. I think we're ready. And I just hop inside of the box and tell everybody, up on.
And as you do that, you immediately hop on the box, and the horses just immediately start going. And
wait.
Oh shit!
And except for Jacques, the rest of you have to.
I pick up
on.
Bruce and run with him.
Ah!
Wait, I should have asked first. Is it okay? Do you need a boost?
Yeah.
Got you. Come on.
I imagine Fearn's like seeing this happen, and he's still like he's like a little nervous to do anything, so he's like pulling very gently, which is slowing down the horses enough for them to hop on, but like not like stopping them completely.
And it's obviously like the horses are a little jerky at this because they're just sort of like, this is going to be a little more forceful than that. But you're able to hop on, no problem. As you are heading out of the university, the School of Agriculture and Working Animals gatehouse, you can hear the attendant calling back, underneath the seats in the back, there's a repair kit.
I immediately put my feet up in the little corner that Jacques had made, and also make myself comfortable. You don't need to take up the whole entire carriage. Leave some room for the rest of us.
There's plenty of room at the edge over there. Hang your feet off the end.
No,
Still
I'm
smell a little
comfortable
from
right here.
the trash.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot for... I mean that only a little sarcastically. Thank you for the hype. My debt is settled.
Looking over the book that he's reading, Jacques goes, I told you, I'm useful after all.
I wouldn't go that far, but...
Yeah. Speaking of that, I wouldn't eat those apples. He said we have exactly enough for the horses for the journey. So
I'm sure they packed extra. Come on, those people care about the horses. They're not gonna let them starve.
They're not for you, Jacques. Put it down.
right,
It's like
pretty
half
extra at the end.
eaten.
I just finished the apple. God damn.
No, I mage hand and tossed it out the window for the horse.
I'm gonna say that's contested.
No, he's just holding it up. She takes it, throws it out, and it falls off the moving carriage. and is then left behind. And he just like kind of perks up and looks at it sitting in the street and goes, "Oh yes, very useful out there. Very useful." He just goes back to reading.
Well, now it's just okay.
I meant to
Bjorn
feed it
is-
to the horse.
Bjorn is trying to lead the cart through the town, and he's just going incredibly slow. Like it's like a walking pace for like normal people. And you know, it's a little bumpy in the back, but it's a smooth ride because Fearn doesn't want to like hit the reins and like make them rush towards and like hit people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're heading down the causeway onto High Street or High Road, and you're able to go wrap up to the gatehouse roads leading out. And it is, it's an incredibly slow pace. Occasionally, every now and then, you all feel the entire cart just go as it goes through like a little pothole in the road, and it just sort of slowly goes into it, and then slowly goes out of it. As occasionally you see people on their own steeds trying to get around you. This part of town at this time of day, there's not a lot of carts, so at the very least there's not anyone angrily yelling at you, and people are easily getting out of your way because they're kind of actually confusedly looking like they're used to carts like trying to run them down basically, and they're just like, okay.
Yeah, I'm like in the middle of the road instead of off to one side. Like just going really slowly, and there are other carts that are like going around me, and I'm just like waving them past.
But generally, it takes you a little while to get out of town going this speed. But I'll say it eventually, because I mean, you all would have woken up over different hours. You're probably leaving. I'm assuming probably like at 10 o'clock is when you're leaving. So you get out of town at 10:30 and can start heading out onto itself, the Northwest Road. So familiar sights as you're heading out this way. You can see carts and folks coming in and out. Some smaller vendors and cart vendors set up outside of the open area where the gatehouse district opens up, and head out. It doesn't take you too long out on this road, and once you get out and like feel kind of the breeze again, you can not so many people around like Fear, and if you're starting to feel a little more comfortable, maybe an hour into the journey, you can speed the horses up a bit if you want to try that.
I think I would most likely try to stop them once we get to the gatehouse and wait for Septimus. And
didn't he say on the outskirts of town, as in not right here? He's not gonna bring Sal to the city gates.
Right, but he didn't really specify exactly where outskirts means, right?
Well, I mean, I would assume that he doesn't want to bring Sal into any sort of sighting or public in general. So I think
Right.
Jacquet has a good point. We probably should go a little further.
Maybe just go on the road until we see Septimus, because he's a smart lad and will meet us somewhere.
I whip the reins, Sean.
Give me an animal handling check. Not super high DC.
1.
The cart starts going so fast. The horses immediately go just into as close as a full gallop as they can. This is like someone's being at a stop sign, just ramming the pedal down.
Oh man!
Fear,
that's too fast.
Fear
Slow
is like completely straight-faced. He's completely fine with this. Like, same exact emotions on his face as he was when he was going 1 mile an hour.
Yeah, absolutely. Like Bruce, you're definitely like bumping up and down and like slowly moving towards the back of the cart.
I'm just holding the reins. Like,
nope.
Are we there
I got
yet?
you, Bruce.
Hey, you might want to slow down. Slow down.
I don't know how to do that.
Why do I imagine I'm gonna get the
I got
sight?
one speed.
We just go blowing by Septimus.
Basically what happens is this cart just keeps going at this speed. You see a few people jump out of the way. Eventually, though, the horses kind of tucker themselves out, and like without any guidance from Fearn, they just start to naturally slow down and get to a more comfortable pace. Which is when Septimus, you would see, now that they're a little bit out on the outskirts, you could just see the dust from behind the carts in the air. That's like kicked up a significant cloud of dust behind them before you then see the cart start to slow down and go at a still fast but not a dangerous speed.
I mean, as it's approaching, I try to give a wave to make sure that they could see me.
Do I see him?
Yeah. This area is fairly open and flat.
Horses, go that way! I start pointing at him. That way! Come on! And I take the reins and I like kind of just like hold them, like I start like whipping them towards Septimus.
I'm pretty sure you like pull one side on the reins and the other if you want to turn them.
I've never even driven the cart before, but just watching other people do it, I think I'm more qualified than you.
Then why don't you fucking drive the cart, Jacques?
Yeah, you
go back.
Septimus,
I just read about it.
Septimus, you hear all of them arguing in the cart as they approach, as the horses are kind of like the way he's pulling and whipping them, they're like kind of like stopping and also pulling off the road. But like Septimus, it's a good like 150 feet away from you that the horses stop on the side of the road and you have to walk to meet them.
Kind of looking around, like, come on, Sal. As Sal kind of like come up from like little brushings, and walk with Septimus towards the cart.
Yep, and you all see coming out of kind of the brush in a small ditch on the side of the road. Coming out, you can see Sal's head pop out and kind of just pull off a bunch of moss and lichen off his own head. And stands up tall and starts to walk out towards you all.
Good morning, guys. Sorry, I had to dip out in the middle of the night, but I was worried about Sal. I had to tend to him.
That makes sense.
And also, I have to say, I got a spark of inspiration, partially from other stuff that I read back in the library, of maybe some adjustments that I can make to him. I have to say, he might be able to help us out in any other combative endeavors. But we'll see. It's still experimental right now.
Why don't you show me later?
Be careful. Those things, I mean, I don't know. He seems to have a mind of his own. You might want to be cautious about training him how to fight.
I mean,
because
you have
you
a
don't...
mind of your own. So, like, what's the difference?
Just saying.
That he's
I don't
got
know.
evil intent? What do you
Possibly. I don't know anything about
Given
him.
my near-death experience, I'm going to go ahead and put him in my protective care and make sure that I'm protected.
Okay, fair enough.
Sorry, Jacques, I interrupted you before.
It's fine. I was just going to belittle Fearn as well, because it's fun.
Okay. What were you guys doing? Oh, by the way, you were all over the road. None of you used a carriage before?
Septimus, do you know how to drive horses?
I do, actually.
How about you take the reins?
Yes. Walking up to one of the horses, seeing that they're kind of like probably trembling a little bit or timid. I'm like, oh, there, it's okay. As I like kind of just try to calm them down, be like, well, it's good that you grabbed this. I had forgotten, but I'll take the reins. We're gonna have to go.
Co-pilot? I've always wanted to learn how to drive one of these.
Well, it's pretty easy. I'll show you. Well, we'll be good because we'll have to go pretty slow because I doubt that Sal will be able to fit on the cart, or actually, his weight would overbear. What?
Sal is quite heavy. think it would slow the cart down. Yeah, significantly.
How heavy is Sal? Because
how much does a cart typically hold in D&D?
So the way that it seems like it's done is it's based on the animal, and then you get an additional for the like cart or chariot or whatever.
But it's like what the animal can pull.
Right. Sorry. That's yeah.
And then there's what the cart can bear for its frame, which I'm gonna say it's more than the cart as you see there, which wouldn't even hold all of you. I'd say you're much more aligned with a carriage as far as your carrying capacity. Actually, no, more wagon.
A wagon.
Wagon. Yeah, I didn't see wagon there. So yeah, so I'd say 400. And then with the horses, I'd say it's probably maybe a little bit of a stretch to have Sal on there. With what, 5 of you in the cart itself, and then a robot. Seems like Sal's gonna probably, unless you could. It's just the horses. I think the horses would just.
No, I think Septimus would not want to strain them and also do damage to the cart.
Mm-hmm.
So he'd have Sal walk alongside of it or trot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which I think is very doable.
Oh, I'm gonna research further.
Yes, please do.
Wording on this is not great, but I think that 400 pounds is the weight of the wagon.
You know what? You are 100% correct. It is definitely the weight of the wagon.
I will do a little research.
And I know for sure it's the weight of the wagon because I read about a barbarian build where you're a bear totem and you can carry a carriage on your shoulders. So, yeah, Stefan, if you could do the research there, we'll just have Sal for the first leg of the journey walk alongside the cart while you're all getting used to traveling again. Okay, so the journey is fairly comfortable, though. You don't have to tire yourselves out. You can go a pretty decent distance with 2 horses pulling the cart for a full day's journey. It's going to take you. With the cart, and depending on what Stefan looks up, it's probably going to take 4 or 5 days to get to Billowgrass. And at the very least, by tomorrow or by this evening, you'll be able to get to Fairhold. The next day, if you needed to, you could stop at Septimus's property and rest there. And then beyond that, you may be doing some camping.
Reddit says that a robot is about 300 pounds if it's human sized, and Google says that an Oregon Trail wagon holds 1,800 to 2,200 pounds.
Oh,
okay.
Okay. Well,
I'm assuming it's got to carry a lot because people would move out and take very long trips in those things.
No, it definitely seems like that's a way too. 400 pounds is way too low.
But also, it's medieval times. I don't know.
So
I don't know how
it's more like early.
But it's also magic. It's also
Yes.
magic medieval, and this came from the academy.
This is, first of all, this is early industrial, and Stefan.
Carrying capacity is 540 for the 2 horses, 2 riding horses pulling a wagon.
Okay, so then that would mean that, so if we have 540 with 2 horses, so that's actually a good point. It doesn't even matter how much the wagon can carry. The horses have to be able to pull it. So if that's 1,080. I would say, since you guys don't really have a lot of supplies either, and it's just you and whatever supplies you have for the horses and whatever you're carrying, which some of you might be heavy, I'm going to say that you can have Sal on the cart. And not suffer a speed penalty.
Cool.
As long as you don't overdo the horses.
Makes sense.
So standard travel speeds. You can't really work them too hard with because you're basically at full carrying capacity.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry.
Thank you, everyone, for doing the side research there for me instead of me panicking and researching it while you all wait.
I mean, you could also just wave the. It's a magical cart.
No,
Not in Sean's world.
no, not for your very first job with them.
Yeah.
All right. So, the journey is very easy on these first few days. You're just traveling along road you already know. Bruce.
I don't know if you're gonna do an overview or give us a second for overview. But during the travel, can Bruce be just studying Sal to investigate further about automatons and very specifically how he's powered or gets.
Yep. So I'll give you a quick overview of the first few days of travel, and you can do, if there's things you want to do during that time, especially since you're on a cart, you can actually do things. First 2 days of travel, very safe, as you've already done this road, and there's never been really any problems. Third day of travel, Septimus, you would know that at the end of that third day of travel, there would be another tavern, a roadside tavern that you can go to. That is, where did it go? That is called the Badger and Coyote Public House. It's the last, sort of safe little spot before you're on kind of the small bit of space between that and Billowgrass, where the road is less safe. Just earnestly, it is less safe. It is an area that is frequently at the risk of highwaymen, and is just not as well protected.
Okay.
So for these first 3 days, the typical travel, you will stay the night at Fairhold. You'll then, if you wish, stay the night in Septimus's ruins, or you can sleep outside. And then the third day, you would, by the evening, reach the Badger and Coyote Public House. Now, is there anything anyone wants to talk about or be doing during the downtime of those 3 days?
I want to be sitting with Septimus at the cart, learning how to drive it, and maybe striking up a conversation and just kind of making small talk.
So what you got to do is just you got to take the reins. Initially, just give a little flip like this. Let them know that they want to
Just a little,
go forward.
not
Just a little one. No, you don't
not
want
what
to.
fucking Fearn did, right?
That
was
didn't
wrong,
see it, but
right?
it looked like
You saw the
must have been.
dust.
Well, I saw. Yes, they looked terrified.
Yeah. Okay, so just a little bit.
Yeah, kind of like
That's not
that.
so bad.
And then you kind of you pull one side if you want to go that direction. Pull the other side if you want to go the other direction. Gentle,
That's
because
easy.
they are living creatures. They'll respond
like-
if you're hurting them.
That's fair. That's fair. Yeah, that steering is kind of like the ship, the sails, and turning them, making sure we're going the correct way.
Sass, give me an animal handling check with advantage since Septimus is helping you.
You got it, boss. Thank you for advantage. 18.
Yeah, so at first you're very nervous, obviously, and the ship is not a living creature, and you haven't done a ton of that. You know how to do it, but you haven't done a ton of it. So you're a little nervous about how hard to pull, but Septimus guides you, and it's very comforting, to receive a fair lesson. And not like a tricky lesson that you're used to from those who are more manipulative. And Septimus is kind of nice to be teaching these things, and to kind of be refreshing your memory of all these things that you've learned over your hardworking life.
Well, now we have 2 drivers, so if you get tired, I'm happy to take over.
Oh, perfect. You're a natural.
Thank you. I try. You're a good teacher.
Yeah.
So, reminds me again, how did you come across your mechanical friend?
It's a long story, but I first met Sal
It's a
when I
long
was
journey.
when I was still a boy. Back
Childhood
when
friend?
not quite. I met him when I was a boy. I didn't fully take him into my company until about a year or two ago.
Were you lonely?
No, not before I met him. I actually had quite a large family.
That's right. I remember you saying this.
Yeah, but I guess I take that back. I was a little bit lonely, but with Sal keeping me company makes it a little easier.
That's
But
nice.
I like teaching because it
You're good
reminds
at it.
me. It was kind of what you had to do in my family growing up on the farm with a bunch of other siblings.
Were the
The folks were busy
You're
doing.
the oldest?
No, I was the seventh, hence
That makes sense.
Septimus.
That makes sense.
But one of 16, believe it or not.
Fuck. That's a lot
Yeah.
of children.
Yeah, well, my parents figured the more children they had, the more hands they had to help out and help the farm thrive. But it made things a little harder sometimes. My family? Oh, yeah.
Your family or being on the farm?
Oh, I'd say I miss my family more than the farm. Because a lot's changed since then. I only stayed on the farm just because I wasn't sure where else to go. I was still kind of learning and taking it slow and trying to find my place in this world.
Makes sense.
But that life, being out in nature, I want to see more of the world. I want to see more creations like Sal. I want to build amazing creations like Sal.
I believe you can
And
do
I know
it.
I can.
I'm sorry for the whirlwind of, past few days it's been. It really is nice working with you. We'll be more
Well,
careful.
Same to you. I think it's funny, you remind me of one of my siblings before she left.
Which one?
Oh.
Was her name like Fortinus or something?
Funny. However, the rest of my siblings were named by the number that they essentially were born. I mean, it made it easier for my parents, but no. I was closer to my sister, who was born a year before me, and whose name I actually wrote down, and I can't pull it up fast enough.
Well, while you're looking that up, we're gonna jump into the back of the cart. What other? I know what you're doing, Bruce. If you want to give me a check on looking at Sal.
Sure.
You could do an Arcana check. You could do an investigation check.
Do I get advantage? Because I'm doing it over time.
No, that will affect the DC since you have time. Like you're not in a situation where it's difficult to be doing this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you are. Remind me what you're looking for specifically on Sal.
Right now he's inner mechanics. How his joints move, how he's powered, what's turning what, and anything he can kind of get as far as enchantments of how he has his own conscious and his own thought, or what is stored in his memory banks, how it was put there. Just how to make an automaton without reverse engineer automaton. Yeah.
Got it.
Without actually dismantling him.
Got it. Go ahead and give me that roll.
14?
while Bruce is sort of investigating, looking at Sal, you can see the other two of you, Fearn and Jacques, like you can see, like I imagine Bruce is just sort of like taking a look at the chassis, taking a look at the joints, occasionally saying, asking Sal to lift his arm up, move his hand, twist it, asking Sal some questions. Sal's not responding. What are the two of you doing during that time? Just relaxing or anything specific?
Bjorn is pointedly avoiding Sal and this, research. He's kind of just like, he has the tarps like in the back open, and he's sitting out the back of the cart, like kind of sitting backwards with his feet kicking in the air, and he looks very bored and impatient, and like every once in a while he'll like throw a pebble, or like he's like doing little etchings in the side of the wood of the cart, like just kind of looking like pensive.
Yeah, hell yeah. I like that image. Jacques, do you just lounging like you described before?
Yep. I was thinking about doing some forgery, but I don't think I can do that in a bumpy way.
Probably better to wait till you stop for the night.
Right. So
Yeah.
just continue to read.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah,
I would say, Sean, one thing Fearn would be interested in is looking out towards the nature and just seeing if there's any animals that he sees. He might go hunting like late at night or something like that when they're like off the road, or if there's anything he could forage, just keeping an eye on the wilderness and an eye out for anybody following them, anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so no role really needed in this part of the journey. It's all very, very easy to keep an eye out. This area is fairly well groomed and not really overgrown. There's some copse of trees by the sides of the road. Beyond that, you can see it's probably a good like 150 to 250 feet into the actual sides of the road before it meets back into larger forest land. And the further out from town you get, maybe halfway through the day, you start to see crops, farmland, and the road really becomes quite boring at that point, as you're just this is the time of year where you would start to see workers in these fields harvesting, and it is harvest time for a lot of them. So you do see people who occasionally will take a look at the cart for a few moments before getting back to work. Maybe a few of them might even wave. You might see some children who rush to the fencing of the farmland to see if there's anything interesting about the cart. And really just seeing a normal cart, they very quickly head back to the fields.
Oh no. When Jacques hears the laughter of small children, he lifts the flap up to look out and goes, I wonder. And then he starts minor illusioning, just like little scenes of just random things. Maybe well-known stories back in Ferothris, otherwise unknown here. But there's the old tale of the Aarakocra and the Dragonborn that he starts to play out on the wagon cover canvas.
Yeah, I love that. So as the cart's moving, like you all would even be able to hear this. Every single one of you would just start to hear like children shouting, and you hear little things like, look at that! Oh no, it's magic! It's got to be from the academy. It's got to be. I'm gonna go to the academy one of these days. You betcha. As they're running and you see some of them even like pull themselves through the fencing and are chasing after the cart as it's not going so fast that they can't keep up, but they just see like basically I'm imagining the sigil of the academy of the Commodore like shifts into these little like woven patterns, and you can see just sort of like this like sort of mosaic Aarakocra and Dragonborn fighting through the kind of mountains of Ferothris, hunting down dragons and other things, and meeting random characters. The children have no idea what the actual story is. They just see cool, colorful patterns and are excited. and they're like, oh, this is not just sort of some, other farmer going home or whatever. This cart is doing something interesting. As you then hear their parents or guardians shouting for them to come back, and eventually their sounds of the children will lull away as you continue through the slight ups and downs of the roads in these rolling fields of crops. Along the way, Bruce, you are tinkering away.
Sean?
Yes.
Can I add to that?
Absolutely.
Can I cast Enhance Ability on myself to give myself advantage?
I would allow that.
Perfect. In addition to that, I would also be ritual casting Identify to give myself any sort of bonus. And also my investigation only bumped up 3 points to 17.
Bruce, you got this, man. I believe in you. Have a little bardic inspiration.
Hey,
You can add a d6 if you want.
thanks, Jack.
I'm in a good mood. What do you want? It's nice to be out in the open road.
Ooh, yeah! That's additional 6 for a 23.
Hell yeah. All right. So, as you are hearing all of this sort of lovely scene outside, Bruce, all of that just starts to fade away, though, after you focus. And, you're looking to Sal, and you're starting to kind of move the arms around. You can see kind of vague suggestions of the machinations of this machine. It seems like there's, between the kind of plates that make up sort of the larger muscular or bony parts, there does seem to be a skin that is almost like tightened. You can tell it's a weave. It's woven material that is very, very strong and is taut against the parts underneath, where you imagine the more complicated joints and gears and anything that is actually a part of the mechanical movement is concealed and protected within that woven material that makes up any of the spaces between his larger plates. And all the while, like, when you're doing things, like, you might be like touching that and feeling the shapes underneath. Sal is like accommodating and like moving himself so that you can get everywhere, listening to any movements that you request of him, and he's very much so amenable to this, given Septimus is giving you permission. But what you're realizing is that there is a lot of internal mechanism here, and that you will only be able to get so far without finding a way to see that internal mechanism.
Yeah. I imagine as days have gone by, Bruce, occasionally will make sure Septimus isn't looking, and then just be like, all right, so hold on 1 second, and then just like pop something off, like a plate, and then just like try to mend it back together afterwards.
100%. Yeah, like there's a point when like his bicep plate, you're just sort of like, all right, and you just sort of, and you see Sal even like kind of comes over and like helps you a little bit, and it just and you can see there is some more complex machinery under there. You think basically you will be able to, over time, at least do an audit of the parts of his external parts and things underneath some of the outer plates. There's areas are going to be, it's going to take you a long time before you can actually fully understand them, but like the limbs particularly, you'll be able to do a full kind of audit of the parts. You may not know what they all do, but you'll be able to do sketches of them over time and be able to start hypothesizing, looking into it. And Sal seems now that he's like helped you pop one off, he's like you like mend it, and he looks at you and just like pops it back off because he thinks it makes you happy, and just like starts pointing at his parts.
No. We could put that back now. Thank you, Sal.
He
really
tries to put it
appreciate
back on, and it just falls off.
Okay. Let me get that for you. All right, let's leave this right here. I don't make too much noise.
You see Sal kind of like cocks his head and goes, puts its finger up to his face between his eyes, as if also going, shh.
I imagine Fearn like looks back at this whole debacle and like leaps over to Gloveless and says, Septimus said something about that thing being combat ready. It doesn't look that way. I wouldn't put too much trust in it.
Jacquetti's talking to you.
Sorry. Looking over his book, Jacques goes, "You don't trust many things, do you, Fearn?"
Well, I particularly don't trust those machines. They're too quiet for my liking.
Sure, but you also didn't trust Sigil as well.
Well, that was correct, wasn't it?
No. There was nothing to mistrust with him. Septimus is the one that caused all that ruckus.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Sindel. Sigil, we spoke, and he seems all right.
Right. But I was saying that you, out of the gate, assumed he was untrustworthy.
Well, shouldn't you be cautious of everyone you meet? Isn't that just being smart and, like, looking out for yourself? I think I have a right to be a little cautious.
Oh, have you been betrayed so many times before? You now put up a wall of stone to protect yourself?
I wouldn't say that I've been betrayed more than the average person, but it has happened. That's enough for me to be wary of others.
Well, to your point, I think some healthy skepticism with anyone is smart, but to come out and just label everything as untrustworthy and that you don't trust it, sometimes it's better to play your hands closer to your chest. Sure, you don't trust Sal, but you don't keep talking about it.
I only bring it up because he's missing an arm right now.
As you look over and see Bruce trying to quickly mend one of those plates back onto his arm.
I have our artificer's intelligence in full. I trust they will have Sal working in the capacity we need him to be.
Yeah, he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
And if not, we'll figure it out. It's okay. Sal is not an enemy. The worst thing that happens is that he's not as good as Septimus says. Honestly, I don't have high expectations given some of the things we've seen Septimus do. Looking over his shoulder to make sure he didn't hear that.
Fearn says nothing to this response and actually gets up from his seated position and pushes his way through the cart towards the front where Septimus is.
Mm-hmm.
And basically just sticks his head out and says, "Yo."
Is everything all right back there?
Everything's fine. I was wondering if your friend Sal would be amenable to some sparring once we stop for the night.
You wish to maybe fight him?
Not necessarily fight, but I wish to gauge his capability in combat.
Yeah, that'd be actually a great idea. Like I said, I just made some modifications. I don't know if they work, but I mean, I didn't want to ask you because I know you have your misgivings about Sal, but if you're willing to spar with him and I could observe and take notes and any changes that you need to make, I'd obviously love to do so.
Right. Bruce is working on how to understand it. I just want to make sure that it's not a liability.
From back in the cart, Jacques just goes back to his reading. No more liability than Bruce himself. Yeah, I'm talking about you.
Yeah, I know.
It's settled then. And I stick my head back inside of the cart and
Think-
walk and sit back down.
From where we are in this journey, would it be prudent to go to my home if people wanted to do that?
Probably, yeah. I'd say it'd be better to be doing it on your property than like near Fairhold or anything like that.
It's not like out of the
if-
way or anything.
No, it's along the way. You just have to take an extra hour to get off the road to your property.
I mean, I would pitch it to the group, if they want to do so. Also, they can sleep in a bed instead of camping.
Yeah, you'll have at least one night of camping at Fairhold, and then
Oh, yeah.
the next day you'll get there and can do. I mean, of course, you could also you don't have to camp at Fairhold. It's just a safe place and a more comfortable place to camp. But yeah, if the group is all okay with it, then you can on the second evening take that little break at Septimus's place.
But quickly jumping back to answer
Yes.
Shannon's question from.
Oh yes, I'm
while
sorry. I
back.
forgot that I gave you a moment. Yeah. Well,
did
let's
find
say
it.
yeah. We'll jump back to that. We'll say that when
That's where
you
he-
were
that's where he
trying to
jumped
think
in.
of the name was when the Fearon's head popped out, and before you could say the name, you had that brief conversation. Pops back in. Everyone kind of resettles. Continue.
No, I was closest with my sister, who was just a year older than me. Sessa was her name.
Sessa.
And,
Our names even kind of sound alike. Sessa, Saskia. Lots of S's.
I guess I never thought of that, but she did have a free spirit. And funny enough, I'm somewhat relieved to know that I don't know how she is. Because most of my family members, I know that they're not around anymore, but she left the farm a few years back looking for something new. I haven't seen her since.
Sounds like we'd be good friends. Do you want to know where she's at?
Why do you know?
No,
Sure.
no. I'm just
Oh.
asking if
Oh.
you're curious if you
Oh, of
ever want to
course.
meet up with her again.
I'd just like to know if she was still alive and if she was safe.
I think that'd be nice to know.
Maybe I'm just a little cautious because I'm not sure of what she would think of me. I'm not the little brother that she may have remembered.
No, but you're more than that now. Surely she'd be proud of you.
Maybe.
Do you have any idea where she might be? Or should we just kind of like ask around wherever we go?
She never said where she went, but all I know that she wanted to get away out of Edja. She wanted to see the rest of the off-the islands, and doing so, definitely sailing. She was tired of the farm lifestyle and being bound to the land.
A sailor. We'd definitely be friends.
But, no, but she never told me before she left. It was soon after our brother, Quintus, died.
I'm sorry. If this makes you sad to talk about, we don't have to.
Actually, it kind of makes me feel a little better. Although,
Oh,
sorry, it does make me sad, but I guess I internalized it so long just talking about it. Makes me
Well,
remember them.
I'm happy to listen.
Thank you, Sas.
And it's with that conversation that you all find your spots that you're going to be spending the rest of the day in. Two of you driving out front, maybe talking a little bit more about the countryside. Jacquette reading and maybe snoozing a little, taking a cat nap with the book over his face. Bruce, Bruce hard at work, and Fionn looking out at the nature all around and maybe being a little bit bored, but also nice, clear, open skies above. It's still quite nice despite the boring landscape. You would occasionally see some wildlife flying around, particularly the thing that probably stands out the most to you is you do notice far, far up in the sky the shape of a larger bird-like creature, as you would see and hear kind of the louder cry of a hippogriff flying overhead up towards the mountains to the northeast. As
Cool.
At the sound of that, I think Jacquette, to no one in particular, starts recounting a tale of hippogriffs.
Absolutely, you hear this mumbly tale underneath the book, mingled with fake snoring.
I wish you could see birds.
And with that lament from Bruce about birds and the fact he can't see them because of his tremor sense vision, we'll take a break. And we'll be back in 5 minutes to finish out the first 2 days of the journey and get to Septimus's house. And then the rest of the journey to Billowgrass. All right, folks, stick around with us. We'll be back in 5 or so minutes. And we'll jump ahead. So see you all in a little bit. See you soon.
That happened so bad.
Oh,
Welcome
yeah,
back,
never mind.
everybody.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Hi.
So whose line is it anyway? Where everything's made up and the points don't matter. I'm your host,
Sure.
Drew Carey, and you're back in the 90s.
Wow.
I felt it. I felt like I was there on a day off from school.
That's
All right. So our party has left the city of Hyven on the road to Billowgrass, a little crossroad hamlet where they're heading to do a quest for Sigil, the librarian of the Hyven Academy. So it's been 2 days on the road. You are approaching Septimus's property at this point. And you can pull off the road. The weather is still quite nice today. Clear skies, even though the sun is setting at this point. It is a little bit chillier as we are getting deeper into the autumn months. So this would be 12th. Okay. So, Septimus, you see your Sass is resting in the back of the cart. As you see, everyone else is kind of everyone's probably a little bit dozing off a little bit as you pull the cart to the side. You ride it in. You can see kind of that old debris.
That's at Raccoon Town.
Yep, you see the old Raccoon Town debris, and you get through, and you can see your lovely abode as the sun is setting beyond the horizon, and the sky is that deep violet hue. You can see the ruined house gathering up dirt and grime and wetness. It's been raining, or was raining a couple days ago.
Septimus is just like kind of a little sad, but it's like we'll get it fixed up again. As we kind of like call out and wake, be like, "Hey, all, we're approaching the homestead. About what time is it? You said the sun's just passing down, so
Yes, so it's probably around 8 o'clock at this point.
there's probably not much left worth eating here. But what are some of the provisions that they provided us that maybe I could whip up inside?"
I actually got a lot of rations in my bag.
Perfect.
Bruce just like reaches in. He's like, "What do you want?" I got I mean, it's mostly dried stuff. I got some some fruits, some dates. It's like Bruce is just pulling stuff out. I got even some dried meats too. I don't know. I kind of went crazy.
Wow, wow. Okay, then it makes it easier. There's no reason to cook then if everything's already dried. So, well, Fearon, do you want to spar before or after you eat? Get a little energy. What are you feeling?
I'm always
Still a little bit of
ready.
light out.
Yeah, we might as well get started before it gets dark. Fearon's gonna just hop off and find like the nearest like tree and break off 2 branches.
Easy enough to do. You can basically, there's the nice flat area out front. It's only it's been a couple nice days, so it's not super muddy right now. We've got this low violet light of dusk. Septimus, you can kind of light up some of the outdoor lanterns while Fearon is getting ready. Everyone else can stick around and watch or head inside. You can see that tarp you all set up to keep the rain from the living room is still kind of there. It's a little bit tangled up, but it is still there. So you light up these lanterns. The space is lit enough for you to be able to fight as the sun is dipping away and night is coming. What do you tell Sal?
Fearon comes back with 2 branches.
Yeah, he says.
Before I say anything to Sal, I'll be like, what are the sort of like parameters that you wanted to conduct here? Like a little duel with the sticks? Did you actually want to kind of like get into it, or whatever you're comfortable with? I'll make sure Sal does.
I suppose it's up to you. What type of combat does he do? Is he a grappler? Does he use a sword? Does he know how to use complex things like a bow?
Still quite early. I think I was able to correctly get him up to speed with just using his fists. So kind of just like a melee grappler, as you put it.
Well, I will treat him as a young one learning the ropes. I assume that he's physically fit enough to wield a sword, so we might as well get him started using one. And I hand you a stick.
Septimus takes it, like, okay. Turning to Sal, like, Sal, we're gonna work on what I did to you here, buddy. Take this, hold it, and you're going to spar with Fearon here. You're not going to try to mortally hurt him. You're just showing your capabilities in combat.
Fearon steps up at this point and looks at Sal and says, "Follow my movements," and just gets into a stance, holding his stick with 2 hands in front of him.
You see Sal immediately mimics you.
I do a slow overhead swing and wait for him to repeat the process.
Yeah, he would follow along, just as a like you said, just as a young warrior would.
I continue this process by adding in different swings. Like I'll do a horizontal swing. I'll try and add complexity as things go on. And he follows. I'm assuming well when I'm slowly doing it. And
he
then
seems to pick it up pretty quickly as you said, I think you're about to say, as you go faster, he seems to keep up quite well.
Once I swing it once at an actual lethal speed or damaging speed, and he repeats it, I tell him to I basically put my hand on his stick and I lower it back into a fighting stance and I say, "Take what you've learned, and try and hit me." And I step back, and I'm holding the sword in the same position as he has it right now.
Okay. Septimus,
Septimus
if
is
you
just
want to
kind of
roll.
sitting there.
Yeah.
Well, Septimus is jotting like notes down and
Mm-hmm.
kind of like when he's happy with like something, be like, "Ah, yes, very good, Sal."
Yeah, and Sal would like, sort of like Sigil talked to you all about. Sal like looks to Septimus every time there is praise. There's no face to truly understand if he is excited to be praised by Septimus, but you might be anthropomorphizing that emotion onto these looks. But if you want to roll for Sal to do an attack on Fearn.
Okay. It is. Wait, can I just roll for him? Like,
There might be something on there for you to just.
yeah, no,
roll
I
it.
was just making sure. Attack roll is spell attack modifier. My spell attack modifier to hit.
Yeah, so you could just use one of your normal spell attacks.
Yeah.
If it's not on there.
It's just a +4, so. Can I still have a +4 in here somewhere? I'm just gonna do nature check because that's a +4.
Sean, could I take the dodge action before, since I know he's coming?
Yeah, I'll allow that. So,
Okay.
go and
It's a
attack
12.
with disadvantage.
It wouldn't have mattered. 12 is already too low.
It's not,
Yeah, so Fearn would take the he would even like let the hit, like I'm not sure how he would strike, but Fearn would dodge deftly without even touching his sword. Like it would be the sort of thing where like he just whiffs in air.
I'm sorry,
Well, while that's happening, the three of you, are you just watching or going and chillaxing inside eating some dried dates?
Bruce is definitely trying to patch up some parts of the house to make it a little bit more livable.
I'll be helping Bruce with that.
What a guy.
Jacques is watching and seeing the other two leave. He's like, I was hoping to bet. Okay. But he's observing and he's definitely got some silvery barbs ready.
Fearn doesn't hit back, but he just taps wherever the weak point is whenever like he attacks. And I imagine like his first couple of attacks go similarly, and Fearn is just continually dodging and then tapping and dodging and then tapping, and once he gets to a point where he actually has to block with his sword, he will say, "Once more, I think you're almost ready." And right before he swings, Fearn will go and try and trip him, like basically sweep his leg with his foot, and see if like how he reacts.
Yeah, go ahead and give me we'll do an attack roll for that against Sal.
All right. And this is an unarmed strike.
Mm-hmm.
24 to hit.
Yep.
Yeah, so you are able to, in this moment when Sal sort of misses you and you return a sweep of your leg, and Sal does trip. It is a strange motion, though. Sal does kind of self-correct. You definitely trip Sal, but you see, like, as he's falling forward, you almost see, like, one of the legs, like, the joints change direction, and he just sort of catches himself down and then pushes himself back up, kind of like one of those Boston Dynamic robots. But clearly dazed as Sal kind of turns around and, like, there's no eyebrows, but you might anthropomorphize a shocked face onto that blank robot head, as the arms are kind of out, like almost like what the hell just happened. And then he straightens back out and like looks straight ahead, and goes back into the number 1 position you taught him.
Fearn says to Sal, "The enemy will not be so lenient. They fight dirty. You must keep your senses about you. Keep your stance." And then I look to Septimus and say, "Does he feel pain?"
Not that I can tell, but I mean, it does have senses that it can feel it's being touched or hit from somewhere. I don't know if you want to call it pain, but it does have some sort of like nervous system.
I lean back. I look back towards Sal and say, "Did you feel that when I hit your leg?"
You see, as you ask this question, before I resolve that, Bruce, could you just give me a quick, just general tool check with advantage? But and we can resolve that in a moment. But basically, it's kind of like you two are inside, like helping repair. I imagine like you're getting some boards up, closing up some gaps. So I feel like Sass is just like holding nails for you, and like passing them very like.
Hand me that tool.
Passing any tool you ask, yeah. And then, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I got a. Sorry, I just lost it. I got 24.
Okay, so yeah, you're able to make like clean up a space well enough that it's not going to be a threat. The elements are not going to be a threat, and you'll be able to sleep at least semi-comfortably. Basically using that tarp and everything, you're able to make that common living room area completely kind of enclosed as much as possible. But as you're kind of completing that and Sass is helping you, you're both kind of looking out there and seeing this little spar happen. Jacquette, you're watching. But it all kind of comes to a head when Fearn asks Sal if he could feel that. And Sal is like frozen in that moment and is like completely still, and then just kind of like looks down at his hands. And then stands normally. And actually starts to almost like weigh the stick in his. Looks back at Fearn. Nods. And then back into a fighting stance.
Fearn, once seeing that nod, a big devilish smile comes on his face. And he says, "This one has grit. He understands that fighting is putting your life at risk. And he doesn't back down. It is a good start." I also get into a position and I continue to work with him. I throw in some curveballs because I'm just testing his own thing. Like at one point I throw dirt in his face. Another time I'll cast darkness to see like if he still has senses when he can't see, sorts of things like that. But I basically just want to get a gauge of like how capable he is in a combat scenario. So like, not that like I would ask for these numbers, but like I'm figuring out like how much damage he can do, how much armor he has. Generally, like, do I think that he could beat somebody up if I put him in a fight?
Absolutely, and I'll kind of just narrate us through that here. And you spar and test out Sal for as long as you all have enough light to do so. Septimus, I imagine you're taking copious notes when you're seeing all of this, and there's unique moments for sure. You know, Sal, like you see, there's a point when Sal just like completely doesn't use the stick to block anything. You see, he holds his arm up, and the plate on his arm almost acts as a shield as Bruce Fearn breaks a stick over the arm and goes and grabs another one. You can see when the dirt goes in the eyes, Sal almost like spins his head on the gears and the dirt goes kind of flying off. More of those strange moments of him finding his balance again. And you can see almost more unique fighting happening. But it all starts to become very defensive and protective. And you even see points when Fionn is able to like do damage, like significant damage, and like you can see a plate gets dented in. And when you see this part is probably particularly interesting to Bruce and Septimus. You can see the plate glows from the inside, and you can see through it almost like a thin skin, the parts inside moving around. And then like the plate itself popping back into place and healing any fractures, as systems seem to have gone into action within Sal to repair himself. Yes, Jacquette.
Watching from the sidelines, at first Jacquette was like eager and ready to just, try to embarrass Fionn. But he's kind of almost captivated a little by the sparring match and the way that Fionn is training him. And where at one point he had a book written by someone else in his hand. At a certain point he takes out one of his journals and starts writing down. And the top of the page that the camera sees as it pans away is just titled "The Brute and the Machine," as he starts to write a little story about the two of them.
Lovely. And you all engage in this, watch this together on this homestead, in this very lovely end of this night. As the sun completely sets beyond the horizon, it's too dark really to continue sparring, and inside has been cozied up by Bruce and Sass. You all can head in to rest for the evening.
How many days has it been since we left? Because somebody's keeping track of what.
So this is the night. So you left on the morning of the 12th.
12th. Yes.
So then this is the night of the 13th.
Got it. Thank you.
So when you wake up, it'll be the 14th.
Excellent.
The 14th, which is a sundog.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you all find those mattresses still kind of strewn in this living room area where they were kind of well protected, so they're not like, they have that smell. Like some of them may have had a little bit of a mildewy smell, but there's plenty of mattresses in this place to replace any of them that are too gross. Generally, everything kind of has that like smell of clothes that dried outside on a clothesline, and you can light a small fire and have a sleepover in the living room as you start to hear.
And then Jacquette going up to the master bed again.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
As the sounds of night would come, can relax. The next day, you'll wake up. Probably some of you earlier than your typical nights, since you have gotten a little used to sleeping in a hotel. So out here, the kind of natural world wakes you up a little bit the next day, earlier than maybe you normally would sleep in. And it is an unusually hot day for early autumn. Looking at temperatures up in the high 70s, but with a strong wind, so it's not too bad. Because you can head back out. I don't think there's much here for you to scavenge to bring with you, but get back on that road. So the next leg of the journey, this next day is just as safe as the previous days. Based on Septimus's guidance, that you are trying to at least reach the Badger and Coyote public house before it gets too late and too dark. Septimus, you would know that to be the last kind of safe point. There'll be a day of travel where it might be a little bit dangerous. You may need to be a little bit more wary.
Mm-hmm.
But the day is relatively easy. Same thing that it's been. Farm roads, occasional copse of trees, small mossy mountains in the distance with forests around them. Although it is getting a little, the further in you get, the little more boring it gets every hour, as you are in farms and farms and farms and farms and farms. The occasional rended and ripped apart farm is probably the most interesting thing, where you can see a landscape that was never repaired from the great flood of the previous year. A farmstead that either the family unfortunately fully passed away or moved out after the devastation and never reclaimed their land. As you can see, some of these areas have grown over ditches in them where it looks, for some of you, it's like that looks just like someone just took a sword and cut through the earth in a space and left a ditch there that is now overgrown with grass, and this area is being reclaimed by nature, but there's no farmland. You can see more so in some of these areas tall wild grasses that are more of a prairie-like than the farmland that I'm accustomed to. But day goes without much problem, as you see some curious little bumblebees following your cart before the sun begins to set and it cools off to a nice autumn chill. As you see in the distance, surrounded by a copse of pine trees, is a very small roadside tavern. It's 2 stories, long and thin, with a deck out front and just a simple door entrance. With the door is open, and you can see there's sort of not the door. It has a half door situation, and the top part of the half door is open, and you can see warm light coming from in there. And even as you get closer, you can smell the stew that is cooking in there, as it is supper time. You see 2 horses outside that are hitched up at actual hitches and not any kind of stable. And you can head on in if you'd like. Inside, 2 gentlemen sitting over a bowl of stew with some beers, and 1 man sitting in the back, immediately noticing that he's very, very tall, probably 7 feet tall, with fur all over, with then some shorter furred areas around the face and the biceps and the hands. Patchy, with different colors. You can see some tawny, some white, some darker gray, very similar to a horse's fur in this sense, in that spotted way. As you can see, a Thierball gentleman sitting at the bar, with a uncomfortably tight tunic that has fur bristling out where the buttons are just barely holding on, as he's just sort of sitting back there and kind of leaning up against the bar that's way too small for him, scratching his chin, kind of chewing some tobacco like a cow would be chewing the cud, as he just sort of and he smiles big as he sees a lot of you enter in.
I can just imagine all the tobacco leaves in his teeth. Absolutely.
As you can see, it's just sort of this mash of brown and brown spit as he smiles, and it kind of like, it doesn't squirt, but it just sort of like, it's very visceral as he smiles and looks to a lot of you.
Jacquette visibly what's the word, blanches,
Oh yeah.
As he says aside to whomstever, he goes, I don't know what's worth, smoking it or chewing it. A disgusting habit either way.
Smoking it's not too bad. I'll do it occasionally.
Jacquette just tuts at Bruce as he walks forward.
And you see, as you approach, the Firbolg raises their long arm over and just sort of grabs a flagon and drags it across the bar top and takes a long draught. As he puts it down, you can see it's washed away some of that tobacco leaf. As he's you can see him clearly, like, with his tongue pushing the tobacco further into his lip afterwards. Hey, welcome, travelers. Need a room for the night, I'm supposing? We got plenty of space.
One private room for me, please.
We don't really have any private rooms, but I suppose we got the space where you can get one of the doubles for yourself.
Okay. How much?
It's going to be for double by yourself, 4 copper.
Jacques just lets out a low whistle, and then he goes, and breakfast and dinner.
We got stew.
Yep. Okay.
And you see behind him now a big cauldron over a fire, where you can see just the sloppiest stew in there boiling, and it is just an ever boiling stew. It's been boiling since this guy.
Is that the magic item?
That's
a real thing.
The real life tavern ever boiling stews from back in the day, where they just keep it at a certain temperature so it doesn't kill you, and just keep adding vegetables, meat, bone into it, and just keep it going forever. All right. Any other? How many more rooms? You got 4 more of you.
Yeah, I'll indulge as well. Actually, I'll just give you this silver and pay for a room for everybody.
Oh, thank you,
All
Bruce.
right. Fair enough. We got 3 rooms then. Well, with some change. And you see
Well, isn't it a 20 copper per silver?
No.
No, it's 20 silver per 1 gold piece, 10 copper per 1 silver piece.
Oh, all right. Well,
So if you want to get a room for everybody, then
hey, here's another silver.
thank you very much. You need any horse feed? We don't got a lot of it, but we got some for sale.
Yeah, we'll probably take some of that too.
All right.
Yeah, someone's been at our horse rations.
Where y'all
It
heading?
was 1 apple.
Yeah, it's could cost us like a couple miles. I don't know.
Do you understand how horses work?
Not really.
Oh, but the apples, they're good for making sure that they like you. The apples, it's the best
to keep
reward
them
you can give
happy.
them.
It's a treat.
They don't need to be happy. They just need to move forward.
You say
You-
that, but
You watch him reach for a different flagon and pick it up and spits the biggest spitball into it of tobacco spit and puts it right next to his beer.
At this, Jacques goes, "That's disgusting," and just walks away.
Yeah, well, you can't really be
it's-
beggars can't be choosers out in the middle of nowhere.
Darren takes his place and leans on the bar and says, "What's in that stew? Any meat?"
Well, today was mostly vegetables. We had some onions that came through, some carrots. We had a bone that we put in there. That old Lucy found when she was running around the property. And as you can then look and see, there's this big Irish wolfhound at the end of the bar on a big red cushion. Crack that open, give half to her, and put half in the stew.
Do they have any game around here?
Maybe some rats. A lot of farmland around here. There's not so many big game. You might find some gophers, find some
All right,
squirrels, some badgers. Some,
Bruce is like, all right, I had enough.
and you see
My-
you
my
watch
turn.
anyone still there watches his hand hovering over the wrong one, but he reaches for the correct one.
I'll take a bit of that stew, please.
No one stew coming right up.
You'll have to
Anyone else?
excuse my or our cat friend. He's not used to accommodations such as this.
He's a
Yeah.
fancy man.
He's very fancy.
Well, we've had our fair share of fancy men because there's not really anywhere else to stay unless you're going outside. So, he'll get
Walking
used to it.
through with his stuff, Jacques like, outside might be better. As he walks, which way to my room?
And you see, he just kind of reaches under and grabs a very simple key and puts it down, the number on it.
Jacques mage hands grabs it. Sure, that's disgusting, and walks off.
Yeah, well, there's all sorts of really small critters during the day, but at night, occasionally there might be an owl bear or two wandering around. So.
Robespierre! His unseen servant shows up to help.
Where you all heading? Billowgrass, most likely.
Yes.
Yeah. Have you heard any strange stuff going on from around there? Any other travelers coming from that way?
Oh yeah. Terrible news out there. Terrible news. Saw me lad coming with his wife the other day. She was all sick, trembling, violent. I had to kind of make sure that she didn't break anything. And they headed off. I thought they were going to go to Haven, but they headed northwest. I don't know where they were heading. Weren't really talking too much about it. Maybe one of the old shrines out there. But I always said they have their own shrines in Billowgrass. They got their own wise men they could talk to. But guess there wasn't much they could do. They were very I wouldn't say shady, but they were jittery. That's a better word for it. Jittery. Sure. Even the husband was not seemingly not sick.
Did they mention anything like what happened? What the reason was?
That's what they
any
got
other
real
stories?
jittery about. I tried to ask if there was anything I could help with. I might not be one of those wise ones from out in the countryside, but I got my own herbs and remedies here. But they didn't want to talk about it. They just said, take a room and we'll be out of your hair by sunrise. I don't know.
Mm.
Did they leave anything behind in their room?
Well, I can't say I looked, so usually they just drop the key off, and I suppose I should start looking at the actual rooms after guests leave.
Should probably start cleaning them too, as I get some of the soup out of the pot, and I put the half a bone in my bowl.
And he looks and he's like, "Well, that's what Lucy's here for. Lucy will catch any of them vermin that try to get into the house." See the dog just does a little groan as she just plops her head into the red pillow.
Just one more question. I don't want to take up all your time right now, but
Right,
any physical abnormalities with the people that came here? They look, aside from being jittery, rash, like pox or something, just human coloring.
Now that you say that, there was a bit of a tinge to her eyes when I did get a glamour at her. He was keeping her pretty well hidden under a hood, but her eyes, the what do you call them? The white part. The white part was blue.
Oh,
But
is that your iris? No.
sclera.
Sclera, that's right.
But scratch marks. She was clawing at herself. Looked like flush.
Blue.
Seemed, and we really had to hold on to her. She was convulsing a little bit. Seemed tired, but eventually she got a little erratic, and I had to ask them to, step into their room, not to scare the other guests.
Would hearing that spark anything for Septimus? Either just general knowledge or whatever he read back at the academy?
So the thing that would stand out the most is clearly the blue eyes.
That's what I meant. I meant that specifically.
Yeah, that I wouldn't say there's
and if not, then that's fine. We're just curious.
Yeah, I would say there's not that you and both Bruce may have read some symptoms of things that have changed the color of sclera. Most of the time, what you read about is like a disappearance of the sclera, sometimes in particular cursed magical maladies, where the pupils almost take over the whole eye, or the whole eye completely goes over in white sclera. This you didn't necessarily read much about, or at least you didn't, Septimus.
Okay. Well, that's thank you. I think that'll be all for questioning right now. We're heading that way, and just want to make sure that we are not in any danger.
Well, I can't say that you're not going to be in danger. Since the storm or anything past my little estate here is not so safe until you get all the way to Ezra City, or leave Ezra altogether.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're not gonna mess with you while old. What's this guy's name? I have it written down. They're not gonna mess with you while old Jarek is here with you.
Well.
You see, his long arm goes over behind him and just taps on a heavy crossbow back there, as he grabs his beer again and drinks it.
Well, we've had quite the day of travel. I think we'll retire to our rooms for the night.
You got it. I'll be down here if you need anything.
When you go collect your stuff outside, Bruce is just going through his rations, just eating. Like, he did not want to eat the stew. He's just sitting in the cart, like, hanging out with Sal. Like,
why not?
Ian is, after he finishes the stew, he keeps the bone, and he's chewing on the bone, and he goes outside, like, late at night to, like, go out for a run. And like is like chewing on the bone as he's like jogging and like getting some exercise before bed. He wants to keep an eye out just in case there are any creatures and stuff. He mentioned owl bears, so just keep being steadfast.
Fionn wrestles an owl bear while the rest of us are asleep.
If only.
The next day, there's just like the head in the back of the wagon.
Fionn's just if that doesn't happen, Fionn is dreaming of owl bears at night.
Yeah, Fionn, you're going for a run, and like this is similar to Billowgrass you're heading. This is a very tiny crossroads, except instead of there being a small hamlet around it, it's literally just this building. There's one lantern on the crossroad that you can see, so you like have to like run up the road and back, and whatever. And occasionally you do hear rustling in the crops around. And there's one point when you do get a little kind of like antsy about how big it sounds, and you do kind of like slowly kind of put your fists up, as then you would just see a rotund badger does kind of roll out of the crops, and then you see as it's kind of hustling itself up, you see following behind it is a coyote, the namesake of this bar, as they just kind of, the badger slowly walks across the road, and the coyote just kind of looks at you and warily follows the badger. But no owl bears tonight.
Fionn is like, when he sees the coyote, he like puts his hand on his sword, and he's just like, "Come at me, do it."
As you're
And then when
saying
he-
this, the coyote is just sort of like staring at you, and it does kind of lower its head in a somewhat threatening way, but then it just kind of sees the badger go back into the crops on the other side of the road and just trots back to follow it.
Bjorn ticks his he makes a ticking sound with his mouth and just, "Coward, I guess there's no meat on the menu tonight."
Okay. So you can all rest tonight in the Badger and Coyote Public House, knowing you're under the staunch protection. Jarek Wilkes, your ball owner of this place.
Mostly Lucy.
Mostly Lucy. And easy enough to wake up the next morning. If you wish to grab some stew, you can. Otherwise, you can have rations. The place is empty the next morning when you wake up. The two men who are there seem to have already left. And you're basically the only patrons in this place right now. And get back onto the road if you'd like. So this is the leg of the journey where you're kind of far enough away from Hyven where it is a little bit more dangerous. Are there any precautions you would like to take?
Same precautions Fearn took in the safe area. He's looking out the back, keeping an eye open, ready if anything goes wrong.
I imagine it's Septimus' turn to drive, so while he's driving,
I was gonna say the dangers that you're saying are coming on this leg of the journey. Is it like elemental dangers, or
So
or is it like banditry, highwaymen?
banditry.
Okay, and Septimus would somewhat know, kind of like some signs being from the area.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a while since you've gone to Billowgrass, Septimus. Given that you've kind of reverted yourself a couple years ago to just subsistence farming for yourself. You know, there might be some stuff your information might be a little outdated, but generally you know the signs.
Also, you know what I'll do? Also, I would ask. I don't know how many seats are in the front where like the horses sit,
There's
but
two.
if
You could
Sass
squeeze
was
3
there,
people.
I'd ask her if Sal can go there because he didn't instruct. I was like, if you don't mind, I think Sal would be good for this. Sometimes we'll instruct Sal to keep a watchful eye over just any movement and just to make me aware of it.
You tell me what to look for?
Because
Keep an eye out for it?
what I was going to say is because Sal has vigilant, and he can't be surprised.
Oh, very useful. Yeah, Sal can definitely sit up there with you. And I mean, truthfully, like Sass, you could squeeze up there and stay up front. Or even
Sit on Sal's lap.
yeah, I was
Is
just gonna say
it,
even you sit on Sal's
You
shoulders.
could do that too. I just wanted to get Sal up there to.
Yeah. That's no problem. Is the top of the wagon like sturdy enough that I could sit on top of it?
I would say no, not the canvas is not sturdy enough.
Yeah, the
but you
canvas.
actually
Okay.
could actually sit on Sal's shoulders if you wanted to, or like
yeah,
or
I'll
like
do- I'll
or like
sit on
lean
his
into Sal,
shoulders.
like lean onto him and like even like
Yeah.
wrap around
Yeah.
him and just like you could even have your head on
Yeah.
his head looking around.
Yeah. That's Yep. That's
Where are we
definitely
going?
it. Yeah. Yeah, Septimus, just tell me what to look for. I'll keep an eye out as well.
We'll just keep an eye out for any other parties, caravans, just pretty much any other life, just so we could be aware of it. You never know what you'll run out here.
Is there any chance that these bandits will like saw a tree and make it look like a tree fell down to make us stop? Anything like that?
That's a one possibility. I've heard stories that as hard as it is to maybe deny, but people asking for help, just saying that they're wayward travelers and need a hand, and then they'll ambush you.
All right.
So
Consider the road watched.
we can't be too careful. A lot of deception.
Perception where? Who? Huh?
Is anyone doing any kind of watch, which I think it will mostly be Sass and Fearn? You can give me their
Not at
perception
all.
checks. Yeah.
Guys, let's go. What's going on?
Yeah.
He'll know if they're coming from under the ground.
Guys, the
mole
mole people
men.
are attacking.
All right, what did you two get?
11.
16.
Okay.
Could Sal also roll perception?
Yes, Sal can.
Rude, mister. What is his perception? It's here. Oh, it's plus 6.
Yeah, he just it's a straight roll. for his perception.
Oh, isn't that 20?
Oh, all right.
No.
Okay. So I'll say for majority of the day, like in the morning, it's relatively quiet. It's around midday when the sun is highest that you all who are giving perception checks, well, Sass and Sal would notice this since they're looking out the front. You would see that there is this little spot in the road. Right now, you're kind of passing through some ruined farmland that's been abandoned. You can see where the old crop lines are that have grass overgrowing them, tall grass overgrowing it. There are dead trees here and there that have just sort of been isolated. And you can see there is this sort of kind of tall, dying oak tree that has kind of has like half arcs over the road with its branches. And you can see there's a man standing on the side of the road. He has a broken down cart next to the road, as you might suspect. There's a broken wheel, and there is a somewhat emaciated looking horse with them. As you see this one guy, Sass, you see this easily enough. No, you don't. You only see one guy. What do y'all do? He's about there. He's about 60, 70 feet ahead. Actually, it's fairly flat, so you would actually be able to see him from like 125 feet ahead.
Is this something that might be? I'm whispering to Septimus now. This might be something you'd consider an ambush, Septimus. A broken down cart.
Damn it. I was really hoping not to see this because it's a hard thing. I can't tell you. That's the thing. I can't tell you whether or not that person's actually in trouble, but
Well, let me talk to them.
I don't think we should stop. But I think it's best just to keep moving, as much as it pains me.
All right. Well, let's keep moving, and if sorry, I'm just reading something. If anything starts to look I got really distracted by what I was reading. If anything starts to look suspicious, I got us covered. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, and let me know and try to hightail it away.
All right.
Do you let everyone else know what's going on ahead?
Oh yeah, I'll stick my head in the back. Just so you know, everyone, there looks to be a broken down cart on the side of the road ahead, but we Septimus very astutely knows that this area is prone to bandits, so we think this might be a trick. But don't worry, we're just going to go right on by, but we're not going to stop. And I got us covered if anything should happen.
Sounds good. Keep up the good work.
Bruce is gonna be like a little bit more on high alert. Instead of nonchalantly, looking at Sal, or I guess not so looking at Sal.
And if you've got the if you think you've got everything covered, wait till you see how I have everything covered in bandit blood.
No. I appreciate what you were
Just-
trying to do there, but no.
It quick is like a for maybe the first time ever, a seriously concerned look at Fear and just like, oh.
As you see Fear and just like fiercely look out the back of the cart and watch the road.
Yeah, I've been bored for like 3 days. I haven't been able to hit anything.
Fear, and I'll say
Sal's head turns around at that.
Fear, and I'll give you the signal if I need you to come and start whacking shit, okay?
All right, I know what the signal looks like.
Do you? I can tell you what it is.
Yes.
I nod slowly.
Fuck off.
As we get closer to Bruce is gonna put his goggles on, and he's just gonna actually observe through the ground.
Yeah,
the area
absolutely.
around. So I imagine as we get closer to the cart,
Yep.
for example, like he wants to see, if there's how many people are around the cart. If
Absolutely.
there's anything in the cart, in the broken down cart, as we go
Yep.
past.
And remind me again of the radius on your tremor sense.
Should be 30 feet.
30 feet. Excellent. Okay. So as you two in the front are approaching, Sass, you can keep the perception check you already made, or do a new one if you'd like.
I want a new one, please.
Okay. I'll say Septimus, you can make one as well now, since you're kind of taking it easy, and you can do it even while you're steering.
Can I change my mind?
No, whatever the new roll is, what you're bound to.
14.
Can I go?
Yes, Fear, and you can also make one for the back. Septimus, did you roll?
A perception check?
If you want to, or you could just.
I
rely-
did.
Okay.
I did, but I mean, 'cause I'm probably just gonna rely on Sal.
I figured
'cause
as
rolled a
much.
7.
I rolled a 3.
I
so-
caught.
Okay.
I caught Bruce's eyesight.
Is there anything you say to Sal as you're approaching?
I'll say, be wary of any crazy sudden movements and alert me if to any of them, and keep an eye behind the cart. Damn, it's hard to like tell him one specific spot to like.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah, he does
I'll
need a
say-
little bit of guidance.
Yeah, no, I'll say not from behind the cars. Like keep an eye behind that tree area for any movement, any obstructed views, or you can't see anything yet.
Okay. Sal nods, and you see, and Sass, as Sal nods, you kind of like feel yourself dip forward and then come
I'm
back
gonna
up.
say, and also, it's just gonna be hard, but just try not to engage if he tries calling out. I'll try to just get through this.
As you get closer, the two of you can now see what this guy looks like. He is probably 5'6", wearing heavy purple and violet robes. He has a travel sack to this side with other travel gear hanging off of it, pots and pans. He has kind of like almost monkish attire. And I don't mean like class monk. I mean like a religious monk. And he has this very, very blonde hair that's in this very, very curly hair, curly beard, a waxed mustache that hooks at the nose. And he's wearing sunglasses that have kind of this greenish tint to them. They're circular. And he's leaning on a gray staff like this. as he's just sort of staring out at you. Very pale skin, gold amulet around his neck with a gold chain. As he is sort of staring there, you can see his shoes are very nice and kind of have that little like hook to them at the toes. As he's just sort of hunched and staring. Can't see his eyes, can't really see his mouth because the beard is so big and fluffy and blonde. As he just sort of looks and sees you all once you get within 30 feet, and you see he waves a hand up, and you can hear, "Travelers! Travelers!
Oh, fuck.
Would you be able to help me? I need some food for my horse and some tools to repair my cart. I have gold. I have money."
How far are we from town? Just right now.
From town, it's a half day. It's still a full half day until you get to
half day.
Billowgrass. Yeah.
Okay. Kind of like dressing the horses to maybe like pick it up just a little bit, not like full blown like sprint, but as like we're coming through and like approaching back. Sorry, we need to get to town where we are running late, but we will send somebody if for help.
It's where I'm heading as well. Would you mind if I rode with you? Just stop for a moment.
Sorry, we can't. Like,
have you seen my horse?
This is really killing Septimus. This is literally like the interaction that you can have where like you're passing a homeless person asking for money, and you're just like, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Give me a insight check, Shannon, from Sass. Bruce. Sass, what'd you get?
18.
This man is lying through his teeth. He clearly has money, didn't bring anything to repair his own cart, has money, but his horse is that emaciated. And it's as you see this that Bruce, with your tremor sense, can see that there are men laying in the tall grass on either side of the road. And as you approach the actual tree and where that guy is, you can sense through the ground and through the tree that there's a man in the tree. In the cluster that's hanging over like a half arch over this.
So Bruce immediately just I want to say that Bruce is in between like Fjern and Jack Wet, and he just with his goggles on just grabs both of their shoulders.
What did I say about touching me?
Did I? Oh god.
The horses
right.
pick up speed as they're heading. You'll be in
7
6 seconds.
go!
You'll be passing the man.
Bruce just yells, "Septimus, go!"
Fjern sticks his head out the back of the cart as we drive by, and he's holding his sword up in the air, and he says, "You better not be back here when I return. We're coming for all of you."
So
hold
up. Everyone, hold up.
You're getting ahead of yourself.
Two people up front, because you guys are.
When I
passing.
hear go,
Yeah.
I'm whipping the reins and I'm trying to like get him to go. Then,
And Sass, you'll have you have one action basically to do in that moment.
So I have my Dark Shard amulet,
Mhm.
and that lets me cast a cantrip that I don't know. But that's on the Warlock spell list. So I want to try and cast Infestation on this guy.
Ooh.
Whoa.
And which is you cause a cloud of mites, fleas, and other parasites to appear momentarily on one creature you can see within range. But first, before I can do that, I have to roll a Arcana check, a DC 10 Arcana check, to see if it actually works.
Okay, go for it. Roll the dice.
Oh dear, I have a -1 to Arcana.
Uh-oh.
Nope, it fucking fails.
Does anything
Rolled a
happen when it fails
7.
in the effects, or is it just it
It
fails?
says, the action's wasted. I can't use the property again until I finish a long rest, and it fails. It just fails.
Okay. What does
So
it
I
look
just-
like when you try to do this? Do you just do scary fingers?
Scary fingers. And so as I hear Bruce say go, and Septimus slaps the reins, and I'm like, don't worry, I've got this covered, and I throw out scary fingers, And nothing happens. Fuck, go faster, it didn't work.
Yeah, you see, when you look to her as she does that, you just see this little puff of green smoke comes out of the amulet and then just dissipates in the wind.
Oh, what the fuck? Where are you when I need you? Come on. I haven't used this in a fucking, second. Just...
Whip the reins and the cart starts going. And I need you to roll me an attack roll for Sal, and I will tell you what happens based on it.
Attack roll for Sal.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
As soon as you start to move faster, you do the witchy fingers. Fearn sticks his head out and is about to yell at them. You see the guy immediately drops the cane and does pull out from his cloak a hand crossbow to point up, and you can hear rustling in the sides, and you hear above you rapid sawing.
Oh. 19 for Sal's attack roll.
Okay. So that is going to do it to allow you guys to get past this. So let me narrate what happens here. You go, the horses, they whinny and go dashing. The guy pulls out a crossbow and aims it and fires it, trying to fire at you, Septimus. He's going to have disadvantage based on just the speed that you're moving now.
Okay. There's no double disadvantage. Because I was going to say, well, it's fine. Sal's doing a movement anyway.
No, I'm gonna say Sal can still
because he's got deflect attack, but that just gives disadvantage. Doesn't even really matter.
Well, that's fine. He had he already had disadvantage. You're right.
Yeah.
But anyway, does a 16 hit?
Ooh, no, it does not.
Does not. Okay, excellent. So you watch as that bolt comes and it actually skids across the
I do imagine as I'm just whipping, it goes through my arms.
Yes, exactly.
It's coming out.
But at the angle it hits, it actually skids off of your armor on your chest. You feel kind of like an impact, and then it goes through your arm and out into the fields beyond. As that moment, you can hear the rest of you can hear rustling in the bushes as you can see several men come running out. There's 4 of them behind the cart now. As the 2 of you up front and anyone close to the front would immediately hear. And you would see Sal immediately stand up in the cart and just smack the entire branch that was about to fall onto the cart that goes scattering. And this is the moment when Fearn, you kind of turn your head and look, and anyone will look and see through the flaps of the wagon that Sal just demonstrated much more strength than he did the night before as soon as Septimus was in danger. As that large, albeit dying branch goes flying dozens of feet into the field next to it, bouncing and cracking and breaking apart as the cart goes fast through this space, and you can hear them yelling and chasing after you. They are not going to be able to keep up with you as you do hear that man in the green sunglasses yelling curses in the wind towards you all.
Just for an added layer of security, I yell my taunt about, "We'll be back for you. We're coming with men." And then I cast darkness behind us. So there's a cloudy black mist that they can't take potshots at us.
Bruce is this entire time still just gripping both Jacquet and Feared just shoulders.
Jacquet's composure has not changed much. He was a little rattled by the horses going, but as this is, the darkness is cast, we're clearly out of danger. Jacquet just looks at Bruce and goes, "Please release your grip on me."
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Sit back down.
Huh.
Is everything all right? Is everybody all right back there?
Yeah, just gotta
Fine.
increase my heart rate, that's all.
Peachy keen, as they say in Byzantium. Jacquet says as he flips a page.
But thanks to you, Bruce, we've managed to avoid capture.
What was
getting ourselves in a fight.
Septimus? What was that? What did Sal do just there?
He defended us. The branch came crashing down, and he just swatted it away. I actually didn't believe that he had that much strength in him myself.
It's not the same power he showed the other night. Was he going easy on me?
I mean, you were training him and he was still learning.
I push my way through to the front of the cart, and I grab Sal's shoulder and pull him so he's facing me.
Sass, you kind of go wobbling as you were leaning against Sal.
What the fuck?
Sal just blankly looks at you.
I put my finger in his face and I say, "Don't you ever underestimate me again. When you come at me with everything. You show no mercy. You get that?"
Well, then maybe perhaps next time we have some reprieve, to have a more heated fight with Sal, if that's what you wish.
And
I thought when I asked you that you were just going to be training him how to spar since it was still new. This is all still new to me. I hope I'm not trying to keep anything from you. I'm learning as this goes along.
He is still new to the ways of the sword. We both don't understand what he's capable of. But I suppose it would be smart for him to continue his training. I look back at Sal and I say, "From here on, you're following my regimen. When I exercise, you exercise." And then I start rambling on and tell him, like, Mundogs are arms. We do push-ups, we do pull-ups, we do this. And I sit there and I talk to him for like about 12 minutes just explaining the whole regimen.
While this is going on, Jacquet just like leans over to Bruce and goes, "I don't think that's how machines work, right? They don't build muscle like we do. This training is all for naught."
Yeah, no, I mean, training of the mind is one thing, but that's just, no, doesn't work for my machine.
Okay, cool.
This does not faze me.
So, interestingly, as he is lecturing Sal, Sass, you notice Sal like reassumes the position and kind of like puts his head up into your hands.
Oh, thank you.
As he just stares forward, listening, occasionally looking at his arms.
I just realized, Sal, I never asked. Do you mind? I can go sit somewhere else.
Sal, you see Sal is like perfectly still at this, and then kind of like slowly nods his head, and you lean forward again, back.
All right. Well, if you get tired of it, tell me to fuck off, and I'll go sit somewhere else. Oh.
So, and as you travel for the rest of the day, it is sunset, or the beginning of sunset, around 6:30, 6:45, that you would arrive in Billowgrass. And you would see this area is a little bit more, there's a bit more of a tapestry of life here. You are long from Hyven at this point, and while there are all of these lovely, boring farmlands, there is a mosaic, though, of farm paddocks with animals in them, pastures, and then these larger patches of pine and deciduous forest surrounding these very small, mossy mountains, almost so small they're more like hills. Wrinkled with little rivers threading through them with streams all over the place. This area feels alive with bird song, despite the kind of low population all around, or maybe because of. As you kind of pass through, this area has old, worn fences along the road where you can see slacking and sagging posts for lanterns that don't get lit anymore, where there's broken glass in the old oil lantern. As this place is somewhat being retaken by nature, but also for some reason feels like it has always been a bit more one with the nature around. As you cross around the bend of the road and see a lovely pond sprawling, surrounded by these deciduous and pine trees all around. As you can notice across the pond, some 50 or 60 or so feet, you can see a small little patch that comes out of the denser portion of the forest where you can see a little owl bear cub leaning against and sipping water, as the space is also filled with small, overgrown stone shrines of different elemental runes carved on them throughout, and a few of them holding spaces for lanterns. As you bend the corner and go into the main road, entering into the town, where there are really about a dozen or so buildings. Not a lot here. The town is a crossroad with these more lovely fencing as well there. Just very simple homes made of timber. And you can look off to the northwest road or northeast road, kind of bends up one of these small mossy hillocks, where up there you can see a cottage that has string after string after string of kites flying off of the roof of it that are blowing up in the wind. And surrounding it, behind it, is this lush forest where you can see more of these shrines all about, as you have arrived in Billowgrass. And this is where we're going to end tonight. So,
Yeet.
you made it to Billowgrass. Yes.
Did we level up?
No.
No.
Maybe if we fought the bandits.
Hey, the bandits might have had some cool equipment.
True.
not to encourage murder hoboism.
Please encourage it.
But to also encourage Mobo. That's what I was about to say.
Mobos.
Okay, so yes, we've arrived in the hamlet of Billowgrass, and we will begin our investigation of the sickness here next session. You can start to meet some of the locals. Head over to the Windy Mercato, where you can get yourselves set up with lodging and some other stuff. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. I hope you enjoyed this session. We got some really fun little interpersonal roleplay mingled with some scenery and with a nice little fun mini encounter that I suppose could have led into combat at the start of next session if things went differently, but I think hopefully you all enjoyed that, and we'll send a raid on over to someone in the community, and join us again next week on Monday for Adrift in Aldhalor, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The Power Hour, I believe, will be returning. I'll confirm that with Shannon for next weekend, but even if not, I'll be there, and I'll convince one of these guys to join me. And yeah, and we'll see you around. Thanks for joining us in Paradice, and have a lovely evening, everyone. We hope you come and hang out with us again throughout the week. Night.